Aqueous ethanol float configuration.
Today we would like to go through the process for installing the new AEF sensor on a probe for ethanol separation detection. But first let's look at what a probe looks like with just a normal water float installed on it. We've logged onto this system as an administrator or a technician, and we would click Settings, Probes and Sensors, Probes and Sensors. Select our vSmart that has the probes installed. And if we just look at one that does not have the AEF installed, we see that we have an area down that's asking for our water float settings, whether we want to use the water float or not. And up here in the top right-hand corner, it asks us about an integrated density sensor, which we don't have either, so there are no fields there to populate. Okay, we have now installed our AEF on the regular probe at this location. And we can see that once again by logging in and going to Settings, Probes and Sensors, Probes and Sensors. Select our vSmart with the probes, and then select a probe that has the AEF installed. And you will notice now we have a new field down. Instead of asking for our water float parameters, it is asking us if we want an ethanol float, which is what the AEF is, the aqueous ethanol float, to be active during a delivery. We would normally leave this set to no, so we would not be looking for a separation while we were getting a delivery. The turbulence in the tank can oftentimes move our sensor enough to cause an alarm. But we also have two new fields up here that are already populated for the aqueous ethanol float. And if you'll notice, we have our A and a B level. And these are the numbers that we recorded off of the sticker that came with the float kit itself. Or if you lost that sticker, these numbers are recorded on the float itself. They're stamped into the nitrofill. So these would normally default to zeros, and you would have to put in the A and the B levels and then apply. And it tells you here that we must go look at the tank's thresholds at this moment. So we go look at our thresholds, and we notice instead of having just high water and high water, we have an ethanol separation and a high water on the AEF. The high water on the AEF means that our sensor is completely topped out, and we would have virtually water only in the bottom of the tank. And the ethanol separation means that we are detecting a separation beginning to happen in the product at the bottom of the tank. Now, the way we come up with the numbers that we use in our thresholds is at install, after we have installed the AEF sensor, we would go to our in-tank probe, look at probe diagnostics. And in probe diagnostics, we have a current density reading. Right now it's showing 467.6, which is very, very low. And that is only because this probe for this demo is not actually installed in a tank. What we want to do is to lower the probe so that we're about halfway through the product that is in the tank, and come in and look at whatever this current density reading is coming from our AEF. And remember now, this is in probe diagnostics, which we get to off of the in-tank probe screen. Once we have that number, and it will normally run somewhere in the vicinity of 725, 727, something like that, then we want to add about 50 to that, and that gets us what our ethanol separation level should be. So we have to click the boxes to make those alarms active, Then in ethanol separation, if we were at 725 halfway through the tank, or halfway through the product in the tank, we would set this at about 775. And then for our high water on the AEF, go about 25 or so more than that. So we would just set it at 800. Now, if you try to go too low or too high here, the system will note that and will not allow that input to be applied. So we have our numbers. We click apply. All of our thresholds are updated. And we come back out to our screen. Select that tank, and you notice that we no longer show our water height or our water volume in the inventory screen, because we are now actually reading the density of the product at the bottom of the tank. That's all there is to it. It would normally take maybe 30 minutes per tank to get one installed, set up, and correctly programmed.